Hello, I thought I'd drop in and give you a little reading update. This has... oh, interesting. Anyway, I finished Giovanni's Room yesterday and I needed an intervention after that, I think. My eyes were so swollen from crying that my boss thought I had hay fever the next day when I showed up to work. Devastating. Thank you, James Baldwin. But I'm very, very grateful that I obviously read it during the summer, because I feel like I always get really happy when I get to match my books to the seasons that are typically correlated with, and I feel like Giovanni's Room is such a perfect spring-summer book. As I mentioned in my previous video, after reading that, it sort of kicked off a very big quest to reread and search for every book that is similar, and you'd think it'd be a somewhat niche or somewhat difficult thing to find, a very tragic queer love story in summer. Turns out it wasn't. I think it's actually my favourite genre, because all my favourite books somewhat happen to fall in this genre. And so naturally I had to reread Call Me By Your Name. I've reread this book around 1 million times at this point. Yeah, I think Andre Asman would run away screaming for the hills if he met me in real life, because he would just know by the look in my eyes the sheer amount of devotion and obsession I have with him. He's one of my favourite writers, I'd say, actually. And I actually watched the movie for the first time a couple weeks ago, which is crazy because I've never actually watched it. I've reread this book so many times, but I've never watched a movie. I don't know why. I didn't have any prejudices against the movie, but it was really sweet because I'd obsessively pored over every single line, and it was really sweet seeing these exact lines and quotes and little features sprinkled in, and it was fun to recognise because I was sort of reading it alongside watching the movie. Yeah, it's always very startling, if that's the right word to use, when I read Call Me By Your Name, because Oliver's thoughts and feelings and the way that he articulates them, well, the way Andre Asman articulates Oliver's thoughts and feelings, is so directly parallel to the thoughts and feelings that I've had and do feel, that it sort of feels like a slap in the face being so directly confronted by this mirror. But I can't even be angry about it, because the slap in the face is done so lovingly and so beautifully. And I reread Swimming in the Dark by Thomas Dojowski. This again is one of my favourite books, and it gets a lot of comparison to Call Me By Your Name because both of them have somewhat similar stories and they're both set in the 80s, but I love Swimming in the Dark a little bit more in terms of plot, because it has that extra layer of historical context of Poland sort of overthrowing communism in the USSR in the 1980s and sort of fighting for its independence, on top of this very tragic love story. But yes, I can't believe this is Thomas Dojowski's debut novel. What do you mean? It's crazy stuff, but I was treated extra. With Call Me By Your Name, I had the movie to sort of give me that extra dose of, and for Swimming in the Dark, I got my lovely extra dose of it by Dua Lipa's book club podcast. She has a whole episode with Thomas Dojowski, and it's filled with such beautiful and introspective questions. I love Dua Lipa and I love her book club. It's gorgeous. She's a fellow British baddie. And her book club is great too, and she has a whole interview. I think it's like an hour long, and it was such a treat to listen to. So I'd highly recommend, if you've read this or if you are planning to read this, to follow it up with the interview that she did with him. It just felt like the cherry on top after reading these very tragic but beautiful love stories. So yes, that is my reading update. I think I'm going to go read something a bit more lighthearted and happy, because I've officially made myself very melancholy and somber. So yeah, there's that. Okay, good night, because it's late and I have work tomorrow. I hate being employed. I don't, but I also do. Send help. Another check-in with you guys. I don't even think you can hear what I'm saying, but I've just come home from a very, very, very lovely night with friends, with a bit too many tequila shots. But do you know how locked in I am with my savoury snack plates? Yeah. So to prove to you my dedication and don't think my hands have ever smelled nicer. These are Korean bouquet? I don't really know what that is in English. And these are some chives. And then over here we have lemon balm and Moroccan mint. Moroccan mint. Okay, this next bit is a bit experimental, if you will, but I read this lovely poem by Edna St. Vincent Millay, and the first verse stood out to me about being the gladdest thing under the sun. I will touch 100 flowers and not pick a single one. And I thought that was so sweet, but I think it'd be kind of a waste if I didn't log them in some way or record them to have on me. So instead of a bouquet, I made a digital bouquet, and here are some clips of all the lovely flowers. And yeah, okay, it was kind of short, this one, but thank you for watching, and bye!